A fierce political storm was on the horizon in Washington as Karoline Leavitt, former White House press secretary under Donald Trump, took center stage with a bombshell that rocked the foundations of national discourse. Her stunning claim? That President Joe Biden was not truly the one in charge. The implication sent shockwaves across media platforms. Within minutes, Representative Jasmine Crockett, a dynamic Democratic force from Texas, answered with sharp intensity, fiercely defending Biden's leadership and accusing Leavitt of manufacturing outrage. Their confrontation on national television ignited a political firestorm, shifting the direction of America's already tense landscape. As viewers tuned in from across the country, many felt the weight of a nation at a crossroads. The studio for you. The show Pulse of America was gleaming with high-tech lighting and atmospheric pressure. At its center, a circular platform bathed in cool blue tones signaled something serious was about to unfold. The host, Marcus Tate, opened with a deep, deliberate voice. Tonight, America faces a question that's shaking its political foundation. Who is really in control at the White House? His eyes scanned the audience, then turned to Karoline Leavitt. With grace and steel in her demeanor, Leavitt adjusted her mic and took a breath, the crowd silent in anticipation. Her voice cut through the air. The American public is told Joe Biden is leading, she began. But a newly surfaced video featuring DNC co-chair David Hogg paints a different story. According to him, Jill Biden's chief of staff, Anthony Bernal, is the true decision-maker behind the curtain. The audience gasped collectively. The charge wasn't subtle. It was a political lightning bolt. Jasmine Crockett's eyes narrowed as she gripped her podium, her gaze laser-focused on Leavitt. She knew this line of attack was coming. Still, the sharpness of its delivery hit hard. Tate turned to her, his voice even, but waited. Congresswoman Crockett, your response? Crockett leaned forward, her voice low and steady, a tone that carried the gravity of both experience and resistance. Let's not pretend this is something new, she said. This is a classic Republican distraction from their own chaos. Joe Biden has led this nation through crisis, from the pandemic to economic stabilization. Implying he's a figurehead is not just false, it's insulting. The studio filled with a mix of applause and dissent. Leavitt stayed composed, maintaining her signature calm exterior. Her voice was cool as she fired back. Then explain the video, Congresswoman. Explain why even Democrats are admitting Anthony Bernal is running things. Crockett took a deep breath, resisting the urge to shout. Joe Biden's health is public. He's transparent. He's present. And he's still the one signing historic legislation. He doesn't need to be loud on Twitter to lead. The energy in the room crackled as the audience split down ideological lines. Tate intervened. Let's bring this back to facts. Karoline, you named Anthony Bernal specifically. What's the evidence? Leavitt pounced. David Hogg described Bernal as the Wizard of Oz, manipulating things behind the scenes. White House sources have confirmed Bernal's influence, deciding who meets with the president, shaping his daily agenda, even weighing in on major legislation. If Biden is too frail to lead, then this isn't leadership, it's a cover-up. Crockett's pulse quickened. Her voice shot forward with force. You want to talk cover-ups? Your administration covered lies, corruption, and chaos. Joe Biden has passed clean energy initiatives and helped create millions of jobs. While Trump golfs, Biden governs. Her voice rose above the murmurs and stirred a round of cheers. Leavitt's response was quick and surgical. Congresswoman, emotions won't erase facts. If everything is above board, why are Bernal and Jill Biden avoiding testimony requested by the Oversight Committee? Crockett's hands tightened into fists on the podium. Her tone cooled to ice. Avoiding? You dare say that while your own party dodges accountability on everything from taxes to ethics violations? Jill Biden is a wife, a mother, an educator, not a puppet master. Bernal is a trusted advisor, not the boogeyman you're trying to paint. The crowd erupted again, some clapping, others shaking their heads. Tate gestured for calm. Then came the escalation. Do you have anything beyond Hogg's words? Tate asked Leavitt. Without hesitation, she produced a tablet, swiping to internal reports from past staffers. Former aides detail a controlled environment, limited appearances, and a presidency managed by handlers. With Hogg's testimony in these reports, the puzzle is clear. Crockett shook her head, visibly frustrated but refusing to waver. Every modern president works with a team. Jill Biden and Bernal are part of that team, not running the country. You're spinning policy into theater while our communities need actual solutions. A hush returned to the studio as Tate refocused. Let's pivot, he said, to something the public's increasingly concerned about. President Biden's recent pardons. Miss Leavitt, you've hinted there's more to this than meets the eye. Leavitt seized the moment. Multiple pardons were signed using an auto-open device, a mechanical signature. If the president isn't the one approving pardons, then who is? Reports suggest it's Bernal and Jill Biden. That's not standard procedure. It's illegal, an ethical red flag. Crockett stepped in, voice full of urgency. You're twisting administrative tools into conspiracies. The use of an auto-open is common for efficiency, not deception. Biden reviews everything and signs off, literally and legally. Unlike your party, he believes in due process. Leavitt scoffed. If he's fit, why hide behind devices? Oversight. Documents show key pardons lacked his personal review. Crockett's voice sharpened. You're desperate for scandal, even if it means undermining a man who's worked through grief, illness, and crisis to serve this country. Tate raised a hand. How do you explain Bernal's role in those pardons? Crockett answered, her tone steady. He's an advisor like any chief of staff. Presidents consult their teams. This isn't shadow governance. It's how things get done. Leavitt replied coldly. The committee has evidence that Bernal issued directives himself. This isn't support. It's substitution. Crockett stepped forward, eyes blazing. Your committee is not seeking truth. It's seeking headlines. Biden leads. Period. Tate interjected again, trying to slow the pace. Do we have proof these pardons were illegal? Leavitt answered. We have former staff testifying that Bernal initiated them without Biden's knowledge. That's an institutional breach. Crockett responded with bite. You're selling a fiction. Biden's pardons addressed injustice. He uses policy for good, not vendettas. Your side just wants revenge. As tension peaked, Tate looked to the camera. The bigger issue here, he said, is trust in leadership. Can we trust who's running the country? The room fell into tense silence. Leavitt answered with fire. This is about protecting democracy. If Biden isn't leading and decisions are being made by others, it's a betrayal. Crockett replied, voice firm. This is about distraction. The real betrayal is turning a man's health into political ammunition. The public needs answers, but they also need truth, not paranoia. The studio crackled with tension as the lights dimmed slightly, signaling a new stage in the debate. Jasmine Crockett and Karoline Leavitt stood their ground, their verbal duel now transformed into a proxy war over trust, legacy, and power. Marcus, Tate, ever composed, spoke with deliberate calm. Tonight's not just about individuals. It's about the consequences these allegations carry. What do they mean for how Americans perceive democracy itself? His gaze moved between the two. Women, both statues of intensity. Leavitt answered with cold precision. When decisions of national importance are made by unelected individuals, whether Bernal or Jill Biden, while the president remains hidden behind a curated image, trust is shattered. That's not democratic leadership. That's deception. The audience reacted with murmurs and scattered claps. Crockett, unfazed, stepped forward. That argument is hollow, she said. Biden has led through the worst crises in recent history. Pandemics, recessions, global unrest. These accusations aren't about the truth. They're about undermining a leader who's delivered real results. Infrastructure, jobs, healthcare access. You don't get to rewrite history because you're losing the present. Tate asked pointedly, Miss Leavitt, what concrete evidence proves Biden isn't the one making these decisions? Leavitt lifted her tablet again. Testimonies. Former White House staff. Internal memos. These point to Bernal signing off on pardons using auto-open authorization. And Jill Biden? She's helped maintain that illusion. Crockett's jaw clenched, but her voice was measured. This is theater. Staff support is not illegal. The First Lady stands by the President, not above him. Anthony Bernal's role is public, not shadowy. You're turning administration logistics into fantasy thrillers. Because your agenda lacks substance. The audience stirred again, divided in applause and objections. Tate turned to Crockett. How do you respond to the claim that avoiding Oversight Committee testimony implies guilt? Crockett was quick. It implies nothing. It implies dignity. Jill Biden is not a suspect. She's a spouse. And this committee, it's a circus chasing clicks, not truth. Leavitt tilted her head slightly, unbothered. Then let her testify. Let Bernal testify. If there's nothing to hide, bring it. Into the light. Why dodge questions? Crockett's fire returned. You're asking her to defend against a story you invented. Meanwhile, your administration hides real scandals. Tax evasion, insider deals, social division. And you have the audacity to demand transparency. Tate raised a hand. Let's keep this respectful. But the debate had already ignited deeper political fractures. He turned to Leavitt. Are you saying Jill Biden is complicit in deceiving the nation? Leavitt nodded slowly. Yes, complicit in shaping a narrative where Joe Biden appears strong while others pull the strings. The people voted for him, not for her, not for Bernal. Crockett's voice rang like a gavel. That's disgraceful. Jill Biden has stood by her husband through surgeries, loss, and hate. She has done what every supportive partner does. She helped, not controlled. And Bernal, he did his job. While your side glorifies chaos and ignores law, ours worked. Tate stepped forward, moderating again. Let's turn briefly to the role of media. Social platforms are ablaze. Both of you have gone viral. What's your response to how this debate is playing out in the public sphere? Leavitt smiled, cool and calculated. The response proves one thing. Americans want answers. They resonate with truth, even if it's uncomfortable. The video of Hogg confirms what people suspected. Crockett's reply came with visible frustration. What it proves is that people are tired of manipulation. One clip doesn't define an administration. And the louder you shout it, the more you reveal you have no real evidence. Biden's record stands. Yours? Just accusations. The lights flickered momentarily, cueing the end of the segment. But Tate wasn't finished. Final question to both of you. If these allegations continue to gain traction, how does America move forward? Leavitt's reply was fast. By investigating every lead, by ensuring no one, not even a president, is above accountability. This is about democracy. And the people deserve to know who's running the country. Crockett's eyes blazed as she responded. America moves forward when we stop using fear to score points. When we focus on healthcare, jobs, and education, not conspiracies. Biden didn't hide. He governed. And we will not let his work be erased by ambition masquerading as concern. The audience erupted, applause, shouts, boos, echoes of a divided country. Tate lifted his arms. Thank you both for your candor. Tonight's debate will not end here. But perhaps it helps illuminate what's truly at stake. Trust, truth, and the future of American leadership. As the cameras faded and the lights dimmed, Crockett and Leavitt exited in silence, not meeting each other's gaze. But their stances told the story. The clash was not over. Behind the cameras, the fallout began immediately. At a small Washington coffee shop, screens lit up with cable news host dissecting every word. On Fox News, the anchor praised Leavitt. She asked the hard questions. Who's really in charge? Bernal? Jill Biden? It's time the people knew. Customers nodded. some even clapping as the clip of Leavitt citing David Hogg played on loop. Few miles away, in the office of a progressive advocacy group, CNN blared from a wall-mounted screen. The panel defended Crockett's fiery defense of the administration. She stood strong against baseless accusations. This isn't about transparency, it's about undermining progress. Volunteers nodded, typing out counterpoints for social media. One read aloud a post going viral. Crockett crushed Leavitt. We stand with Biden. Facts matter. Yet comments flooded in, some supportive, others branding Crockett as the face of a cover-up. In today's digital age, no moment remains untouched by spin. Elsewhere in the city, Karoline Leavitt sat alone in her office, reviewing reactions online. Truth Social exploded with support. A pinned post by Donald Trump read, "Karoline Leavitt is asking what the media won't. Who's really running the country? She's a patriot." The post racked up thousands of shares. Leavitt smirked, but didn't celebrate. Behind her calm face was a storm of calculations. The press was already pressing for more than quotes. They wanted documents, names, proof. She typed a message to her advisor. "How close is the committee to a subpoena?" Meanwhile, on Capitol Hill, Jasmine Crockett stared at her phone as it buzzed with non-stop alerts. Between calls and emails were messages of both love and hate. One from a Texas supporter warned her, "You're fighting for us. Don't stop." Another, more chilling, "Tell the truth, or get out." She sighed and turned to the pile of legislation on her desk, determined to redirect the focus back to policy. But she knew the damage was done. The narrative was out there. At Democratic Party headquarters, leaders met behind closed doors. "The debate was fire," one strategist said. "But we need to stop the bleeding. This could hurt us in the midterms." Another countered, "Crockett was brilliant. If we back away now, we're giving them the story." No decision was made. Only a lingering unease remained. In homes, cafes, and workplaces across America, the same debate raged. Who's really leading? Is Biden okay? Is this all politics? People argued, shook heads, and shrugged. The country was divided not just by opinion, but by reality itself. Later that night, at a charity gala in downtown D.C., Jasmine Crockett and Karoline Leavitt crossed paths. Crockett, in a sleek black dress, paused as she saw Leavitt chatting with donors. The moment froze. Crockett approached, their eyes locking. "You think you won with sound bites," she said coolly. "Truth doesn't need a microphone." Leavitt didn't flinch. "Truth will rise, Congresswoman," she replied. "You can't bury it forever." They parted with tension in the air, a cold truce, knowing this battle was far from over. Back. In Delaware, in a quiet hospital room, Jill Biden sat beside her husband. Joe's hand rested in hers, fragile but warm. He gave her a weak smile. "You don't have to fight them," he whispered. She leaned in. "You fought for this country, Joe. Now it's my turn to protect you." In that dimly lit room, Jill began drafting a letter to supporters, vowing to uphold the legacy her husband built. Not with press conferences, but with courage. As the night grew deeper, questions swirled like wind through the corridors of Washington. Was there a cover-up? Or was this just political theater? Karoline Leavitt, emboldened by her spotlight, readied her next move. Jasmine Crockett, battle-worn but unbroken, prepared to fight on. And Jill Biden, in the shadows of power, stood guard. Over the legacy of a man history had not yet finished judging.